This project in particular is very interesting. We found that it presented a lovely opportunity to put on display what you could actually do with a bungalow without having to extend at all. When you edit them, you change them, you give them a new lease of life. We're able to reuse a lot of the carbon invested in them. I think as architects we have a responsibility to try and reuse a lot of what has been used before. I'm Oliver, I'm the director of Studio Justice & Co. We're a small practice based in Frome in Somerset. This project, over the previous 50 years, people had edited it to a point in which it was not very functional or usable. We had lost a lot of the natural daylight, a lot of the charm that it had, and a lot of the neighbours had built up around it, and the goal was to gain some more privacy. We didn't want to add a loft conversion like a lot of people do in the area. We didn't want to do anything that was too loud. That meant that if we kept in the existing form, we could take the budget a bit further and do nicer finishes, better atmosphere within the house. And that's what we had as a brief from the client. For instance, in this space, vaulting it, spending money on the really nice, high quality materials that are natural, that create that atmosphere. You wouldn't necessarily be able to achieve that if you had extended and done a lot more things to the building to grab a lot of volume. One of the most important things with the house was to build in a series of experiences informed by different atmospheres, and having the different volumes allowed us to control the lighting in different spaces. So kitchen space is really light, the corridor's darker. When you come in the front door, you get this view through to the fireplace, which is really important because through that view you technically see the different lighting conditions the whole way down the corridor, but you don't get to experience them until you arrive in them, and the volumes expand and contract according to the amount of light we're allowing into that space. Controlling it really carefully was critical to us. In the living room, we moved the window from a lower level to a higher level because it was overlooked. It meant that the view to the west, where the sun sets, could be focused on when in the space because you aren't distracted by any other windows. That gave the living room its own agenda, its own unique approach on how you would live in that space, which directly contrasts to the much larger volume here in the kitchen and the dining room space. With a project like this, it's really important not to just wipe the slates clean. It's important to change the way we design, look at the constraints, use them as opportunities, reuse the spaces and be frugal with materials, move away from the status quo, and that naturally gives you something a lot more unique, a lot more worthwhile, something that's nice to live in and hopefully gets passed on to the next generation, both as a space to live in and an idea and a different way of doing things.